So as you guys know, hopefully my name is Kiana. I'm 26 years old, I live in Australia. I'm currently doing a PhD at university. I'm really hoping to finish it this year and then I can make this channel my full-time gig. Yeah, so let's get into it. When and why did you decide to do SFX makeup? Anyway, this is a story that I'm better at telling. So I was always really into costume parties and I'd get really excited when people wanted to have a costume party, and I would spend, as much time as I could, maybe months even, like looking up, reference images for the costumes to make sure that the certain, time period or location or whatever it is was like authentic and fit within the time period or the location or whatever it is that I'm trying to make. And I'd save lots of reference images and I'd look up lots of different parts of the costume and usually order in lots of different parts from online, and usually hopefully rock up to the party with the best costume and then enjoy the resulting attention, and just had a really fun night doing that. So I was invited to a costume party which was through my university, which was a zombie crawl, and so in order to get better at doing like a zombie costume I needed to learn how to do makeup, because you can't really do a zombie costume without makeup. So I started YouTubing things. I think the most helpful YouTube channel that I came across was Stuart Bray's, which is probably why I'm such a fan of his, because he was like one of the first people there that I started learning from. If you don't know him, he's one of the makeup artists on Game of Thrones. He also worked on Shaun of the Dead and a bunch of other cool stuff. He has a YouTube channel where he was showing how to build up like kind of fake muscle and skin and stuff with like tissue and cotton wool and latex. So I started learning how to use latex and layering it with toilet paper and tissues and all of that stuff that you begin with. And at the costume party everybody was like losing their minds about my costume. I'll put a photo of it here so you can see what it was. And yeah, everybody wanted to take photos with me and I was like, this was cool, and I was starting to get into Reddit at the time, so I was like, maybe this will be the first thing that I can put on Reddit that will get like some positive attention. So I put it on Reddit on pics, and it did. It got to the front page and everyone was really nice and supportive and giving me lots of good feedback, and so it felt really good and I wanted to keep doing that and pursue it. And it was around August, so I thought for Halloween that year, for October, I could start getting into it. That was in 2012. So then when October came around, I got a face cast made of my face, and I started using the build-up technique and replacing the teeth with like acrylic nails and make it all like a lot more 3D, and went to a zombie walk, and it just kind of spun out from there, and I decided that I wanted to keep practicing. And a lot of people were asking me like how I made stuff, so I'd create picture tutorials and I ended up creating video tutorials, and so I kind of accidentally found myself with a YouTube channel without really much intention. I just got asked how I did things and I was happy to show them. So, and here we are now, like a bit over 2 years later. So Scarlet Poppy says, what do you use to edit your videos? I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I use the version number 6 because it's way easier than number 5. And what do you think of my makeup? I actually can't look at your makeup because you are set to private, but if you fix that, I will check it out. How long it took for you to become big on YouTube? So I started uploading stuff I think around December in 2012, and then it stayed pretty quiet until October the year afterwards, so around Halloween time, and that's when things started to pick up. And every year over October it's a huge spike in views because I guess people like looking at gory makeup over Halloween for some reason. So yeah, probably about, how many months is that? December, January, February, March, April, August, September, October. About 10 months. About 10 months. And then, so I think that first Halloween there was around maybe 600,000 views, so just over 500,000, and then the following Halloween it was closer to 5 million, which is insane. So each year it's kind of been getting more and more. Am I into any TV shows, and what do I like to do in my free time? Yeah, so today I'll be watching the new Girls episode and the new Walking Dead episode. I'm also into Game of Thrones. We've been watching a lot of Bob's Burgers recently. Also really liked The Newsroom, but that's finished now, and also watched a bit of The West Wing when I was getting into that, because Aaron Sorkins. What else do I like? Like Adventure Time. There's also American Horror Story, Face Off, Last Week Tonight, King of the Hill, and 30 Rock. So I'll put those in my list for now. I actually had to check my Facebook page to remind myself what I like, which is maybe a little bit depressing. What do I do in my free time? At the moment, I'm trying really hard to be like a healthy person. So on Thursdays I go to aerials class, like circus aerials. So it's primarily doing like rope work and lyra, which is basically like a hula hoop in the, like it's suspended in the air, and we also do a little bit of static trapeze. I want to get into doing tissue or silks. I also enjoy hula hooping. I've recently been playing The Last of Us on the PS4, which has been really fun. I spend way too much time on Reddit and Instagram and Facebook, so that's probably where the most of my time goes, just looking at stuff on the computer. And if I have the energy, I like cooking and baking as well. Another, how did you get started and how do you get noticed? So again, costume parties and Reddit. When did you start doing SFX? I kind of dabbled with it from maybe like the ages of 14 onwards, like every 5 years or something I would get into it for Halloween, but I wouldn't really do a whole lot. Probably really started as something that I wanted to learn and get better at about 2.5 years ago in August 2012. What was the first SFX look you made? I'll show you guys a photo because this is kind of funny. I was 14 and it was Halloween, and the bowling alley in my tiny country town in the middle of nowhere, Australia, was having like a Halloween party. So I had this like fake skin putty stuff, and I made like a cut on my head. And I knew I wanted to be dead, so I wanted to have like a white face. Didn't have any makeup or face paint or anything, so I think I just used baby powder on my face, which then proceeded to kind of wear out around the middle and then look really like crusty around the hairline. I think I also used some eyeshadow on my eyes and a bit of fake blood, but everybody at the party was like really impressed and they said it looked really cool, and I was like, yeah, I'm awesome. I really wanted to win the Halloween prize and I thought I would. Didn't win costume prize, but that's okay. I'm still really bitter. Do you have any tattoos and piercings? I've taken out most of my piercings now. I still have my septum, like forward helix up here to there, and my plugs. And I have tattoos. I have a world map tattoo around the left side of my ribs, and the other side I have some binary code. When did you get your venoms done and how was it? So this is going to be like one of those stories that scare people, and I want to remind you that it's not, like, my experience is not the common experience. But so when you get your tongue pierced, like usually it's down the middle, which is between the two muscles, but venoms go straight through the two muscles of your tongue. And you have to try and avoid like the major veins and everything, which is exciting. It didn't hurt that much, but my tongue got really swollen, and so I couldn't close my mouth properly without my teeth biting all around the outside and causing quite excessive bruising. But the worst part was about 4 or 5 days in, I woke up at 3 AM, my mouth was just like filled with blood, but at first I didn't believe it, so I was kind of like, please be saliva, and then it was, you know, it was blood. I spat it out all over my mattress, which is still stained, and I ran to the kitchen to try and grab some paper towels to, you know, kind of use it as like something I could compress it with. And by the time I got to the kitchen, my mouth was already filled with blood again. So I spat that on the ground and I grabbed paper towels and I was just like holding it down, and I watched as the paper towels just became soaked with blood, and the blood started dripping off the paper towel. So I chucked that one out, grabbed more paper towels, I just like put way more pressure on it, like more than I should have, but I just didn't want to go to the hospital and get it taken out. And so that stopped the bleeding. I think I held it there for about 30 minutes because I was afraid that if I took it off it would start bleeding again. My mum followed the trail of blood through the house and found me and was really cool about it and got me like a blanket and offered to drive me to the hospital, but I think I got the bleeding under control. So when I finally took off this paper towel, my whole tongue was covered in like a blood clot, and I was really afraid to like drink or anything because it might dislodge it and then I might swallow it, or I might make it bleed again. So I waited, I stayed up all night until the next morning when the piercing shop was open again, and went in. She was just like really blasé about it, like the piercer. She was like, oh, you couldn't have lost enough blood to die. Good. And like you couldn't have really lost enough blood from your tongue piercing to like, have anything that serious happen, like not enough blood loss to be like a bad thing. So I was okay, but I was still really scared. And she had to take, basically the piercings were just too short, my tongue got too swollen and was kind of like engulfing them. So she had to take them out and put like new ones through, and it was still really raw at this stage. And I ended up with like big 20mm bars through, and it took like a month for it to heal properly and go back down again. I actually recently took them out because they were rubbing against my gums and causing irritation. I just kind of got a bit over it. You can't like lick up here, like to get food out because they hit your teeth, and so like 3 years of digging around to get food out was like enough for me. Yeah, so I retired them along with like my snake bites and my double nostrils. What is your favourite piercing that you have? Probably my septum. I've had that one for a long time now. I think I got it in 2009, so it's about 6 years old. And I think the main reason that I like it is because you can just tuck it up if you ever want to hide it or don't feel like having it for a day, and then when I do eventually remove it, like the scars are not in a visible place, and so that makes it pretty cool. Drizzly says, will you make a bourbon milkshake when we hang out next? Yes. Neiman Rowe asks, what's your end goal or greatest goal at the moment? I don't think like in terms of goals, like people ask me if I want to work in the movie industry, and at the moment I don't think I do. I've had a little bit of experience on film sets and you know, TV sets and music video sets and everything, and while it's been like really fun and rewarding, I don't feel like I handle the pressure that well. So the idea of you know, just being in my lounge room and doing whatever I feel like doing for myself because, you know, it's a nice expression, I want to show you guys something, and just having all the time in the world to get into the details and just really enjoy it. I think that's what I enjoy the most, so probably my goal would be to continue this YouTube channel, and when I finish my PhD, hopefully by the end of this year I can do it as like a full-time thing and do weekly or bi-weekly uploads, and I think that'd be a really rewarding thing. What was your background before makeup prior to your PhD? Were you drawing and sculpting already, and what was your favourite medium of art? Yeah, so I've been a student my entire life. I went from high school to doing like Bachelor of Fine Arts. So in that they did teach you a whole bunch of things from drawing and sculpting and painting, ceramics, video art, photography. I did pretty much all of it. And then I did my honours with an emphasis on photography and video art, and then my PhD is also in photography and video art. So I think all of that stuff definitely helped with the makeup, and would love to know about your PhD in visual arts. So it started out as something completely different from what it is now, and then 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago when makeup started taking over my life, I started being pretty distracted from the PhD, and so my supervisor at the time was like, bring the makeup into your PhD. So I did that, but instead of just, you know, bringing it in, it became the PhD. So I'm doing, because it's like a visual art PhD, it's creative practice as research. So basically half of your PhD is a thesis that you write, and then the other half is the practical side of things, the artwork that you create. And so the artwork side of things is like very much what I do on Instagram and YouTube. It's creating like casualty wounds and things and photographing them and recording them. And then the theory side of things, most recently I've been looking at like contemporary art that is looking at trauma and how it can kind of deeply affect people. So looking at how it can bring about like really powerful reactions in viewers when you see something that's quite horrifying, because I find that really fascinating. And then the other part of it that I've been looking at recently is, because what I do is like, it's obviously it's fake, like it's meant to look as real as possible, but it is still fake, like no one had to actually, you know, be cut open or suffer for the artwork to be created. But I find it really interesting looking at say the examples of like photojournalism, where it is of real people and real wounds and real bodies and real you know, blood, and then people kind of photograph that, and then who gets to look at that, and kind of the idea of this person then being like a victim forever in this photograph and having kind of a say over it, I guess, and the ethics behind that I think is really interesting, and then how that changes when you shift over into like the realm of it being more artificial. Yeah, so they're probably the two main things that I've been looking at and writing about recently. I still got a couple more chapters that I have to research and write by the end of this year, so we'll see what direction it takes. But yeah, I should probably work on having a concise way to explain my PhD to people. I don't really have that yet. What is your favourite film? I'd probably say at this stage my favourite film is The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And my favourite book, I haven't read as many as I should have. I read so much at uni and it's mostly theory based, so that when I come home I don't feel like reading anymore. So out of all the books that I have read, I'd probably be really cliche and say that I most enjoyed 1984. Favourite shop for clothes. We recently got a Zara in Perth, and as lame as that is, I was really excited by that and I like their shirts. Otherwise, maybe just really simple stuff like H&M, plain white t-shirts. It's usually what I'm wearing. What do I prefer, gelatin, silicone, or latex, and why? I really like silicone. I can probably link to you here a video of me going on for like 5 minutes about why I love silicone flat molds. When you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up? I wanted to be an actress, and I was actually the top of my class in year 11, the second last year of high school. I had a really great drama teacher and it was really fun, and then I changed schools in the last year of high school, and the drama teacher at this one was an awful teacher and was a complete bully and used to try and embarrass me and make fun of me in class. And yeah, it kind of ruined that for me. What's your personal favourite? Probably the slit, like the bottled face makeup with like the cheek part hanging down. Most of the time when I try and make something, especially for the first time, it doesn't turn out exactly how I want, and I feel like this one was one of those moments where I felt like it had a lot of control, and what I tried to make, it came out that way, and I was really proud of that one. What's my favourite horror movie? I don't actually like horror movies that much. When I was growing up, if I watched one, I would usually get nightmares for like weeks after, so I tended to avoid it. And now as an adult, I don't know, it was never a thing I was into. I don't really like being scared, but maybe now I could watch it and use it as like an exercise in working out how I did makeup and being kind of fascinated by that side of it. The ones that I am comfortable watching are the ones that don't try and scare you, the ones that are maybe more on the funny side of things, so like Shaun of the Dead or Dale and Tucker vs. Evil, that kind of stuff.